Greetings from Ophirian Heritage. Hello world. This is the first segment of Gihon River that were mentioned in 3 occasions in the Bible, including the Jubilees. Some people consider this topic a trivia without realizing that the rivers of Genesis will play a significant role in the fulfillment of end-time prophecies between nations. We are happy to announce that it's not only the words of Prophet Isaiah that provided us the guidance in locating the rivers of Genesis. The words of Prophet Ezekiel gave much information about the connection of the Gihon River in Genesis with the Gihon Spring in Israel. It has to be noted that the Gihon of Israel is hundreds of miles away from Gihon in Africa. But Prophet Ezekiel showed the connection. This presentation about the Gihon River will be used as the pattern to locate the other rivers of Genesis. Before we continue with our main topic, allow us to clarify 2 issues about the rivers of Eden. The first is the assertion that the rivers are in the bottom of the ocean because of Noah's flood. Second is the claim that the Hebrew term Nahar allegedly means underwater. To answer that, let us consider the experience of Daniel found in Daniel 10 verses 1 to 9. It is written, I, Daniel, was very sad for 3 weeks. On the 24th day of the first month of the year, I was standing beside the great river Hiddekel. It is clear Daniel was in the banks of the river when he had the vision. He was not in the bottom of the ocean. We also object to the insinuation that the rivers were inland during the time of Genesis, then become submerged to the bottom of the ocean during Noah's flood, and then comes up again in Daniel's time and goes down again at present. Such has no biblical basis. Now, let us talk about Nahar. The Hebrew term Nahar simply means river, nothing more, nothing less. It never said underwater, not even a slightest hint. On screen is the Hebrew lexicon showing the meaning of the Hebrew term Nahar. You can pause the video and check for yourself. Having shown the facts and references, we leave it up to you if you still want to continue believing the theory that the rivers are in the bottom of the ocean despite being contrary to biblical information. Let us continue with our discussion about Gihon. According to Strong's Hebrew and Chaldee dictionary, the word came from giyak and gikon, which means to gush forth, break forth, a fountain, a valley, or a pool near Jerusalem. This means Gihon River system is composed of streams, gushing and sparkling fountains, pools or lakes, and valleys. Let us always remember this characteristic because we are going to use them in our search for Gihon River. There are 3 occasions in the Bible mentioning the term Gihon. One is found in Genesis chapter 2 verse 10 up to 14. It is written, and the name of the second river is Gihon. The same is it that compasseth the whole land of Cush. To understand that, we need to know who is Cush and where is the land of Cush. According to Genesis chapter 10 verse 6, Cush is the son of Ham. Ham is the son of Noah. The land of Cush is referring to the kingdom of Cush in Africa. During the classical antiquity, that is 8 BC to 6 AD, the Kushite imperial capital was located in Meru until the 4th century AD. The ancient kingdom of Cush fell down because of internal rebellion of the people. It was later followed by the kingdom of Aksum or Aksumite Empire, believed to be founded by the son of Cush in 100 AD to 940 AD. The land occupied by the kingdom of Cush is now the modern-day Ethiopia, while the Aksum kingdom is now the Eritrea and the Tigray region in the northern Ethiopia. The kingdom of Aksum had its own currency made of gold coins which they used internally. It is important to note that the periplus of the Erythraean Sea stated that the kingdom of Aksum was actively engaged in the Silk Road of China. Eritrea was one of the trading center in Africa that is connected to the Silk Road. Today, the ancient Silk Road is being revived by China through the Belt and Road Initiative. Eritrea and Ethiopia once again will become one of the biggest trading centers of Africa as in the ancient time. These events are leading to the fulfillment of the end-time prophecies very few understood. Ophirian heritage is closely observing these events. According to the migration of place names Africa, Libya, Ethiopia, Eritrea, and Sudan geocurrents that was written by Martin W. Lewis, he said Africa was called Ethiopia in ancient time. That is why the ocean below Africa was once called Ethiopian Sea before it was renamed South Atlantic Ocean. In short, the land of Cush mentioned in Genesis, surrounded by the Gihon River, refers to the lands occupied by the ancient kingdom of Cush, kingdom of Aksum, and the ancient Ethiopian Empire. This is because these lands all belong to Cush. The land of Cush occupied almost half of Africa from the level of the Horn of Africa down to the south. Now let us go back to the characteristic of Gihon. Are there water bodies and geological structures in Eritrea, Ethiopia, and Ethiopian Empire that will fit the characteristic of Gihon as fountains, pools, and valleys? In this table, we are showing the geological equivalent of the biblical terms describing Gihon. In the Bible, it says fountains, but in modern geology, it says geysers. Likewise, you have pools in the Bible, which is lake in the modern terminology. The valley in the Bible is now Rift Valley or depression in modern geology. Can we find them in the lands of Eritrea, Ethiopia, and Southern Africa? Yes, plenty of them, but too few realize their biblical meanings. There are many Spartan geysers or fountains found in Eritrea and Ethiopia, especially in the Nakal Depression along the valleys of Afar Triangle of the Ethiopian Rift Valley. Very few people realize the biblical meanings of these locations, especially the Valley of Salts in the Nakil. Another mention of Gihon is found in Jubilees chapter 8. We have to remember that Jubilees chapter 8 vividly described how Noah divided the whole earth among his three sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Jubilees stated that the territorial boundary of Shem, upon reaching the southern waters of Gihon, the boundary will turn to the east towards the Garden of Eden. Another mention of Gihon is associated with the anointing of King Solomon as king of Israel. It is written in 1 Kings chapter 1 verse 38. So Zadok the priest, Nathan the prophet, and Benaiah the son of Jehoiada, and the Cherethites and the Pelethites went down and had Solomon ride on King David's mule and brought him to Gihon. This is even documented by the historian Josephus Flavius in his book Antiquities of the Jews, where he described Gihon as a fountain outside of Jerusalem. Historically and geologically, Gihon of Israel is a spring and is now called Fountain of the Virgin. This Gihon spring has three tunnels. One of them was made by Hezekiah. In 2 Chronicles chapter 32 verse 30, it is written, "It was Hezekiah who blocked the upper outlet of the springs of Gihon and channeled it down to the west side of the city of David. And Hezekiah prospered in all that he did." Now, here is a vital information. According to the book Jerusalem History, Archaeology, and Apologetic, page 48, it said Gihon Spring can be found outside the old city of Jerusalem on the east side of the Kidron Valley. This valley is 20 miles in length and falls steeply 4,000 feet down to the Dead Sea. Now here are the three critical information about Gihon in Israel that we always need to bear in mind when we are doing the research about the rivers of Genesis. The first is the location. Gihon Spring in Israel is located in a valley that steeply falls to the Dead Sea. The second information, it is located inside a cave, which means it is part of a subterranean channel and that the water has a gushing or spurting characteristic. The third vital information is that the Gihon Spring has intermittent outflow, meaning the flow of water is not continuous. It comes out 3 times per day in winter, 2 times a day in summer, and once a day in autumn. Most Bible scholars disregards the Gihon Spring in Israel. They claim that it is too small as a spring to qualify as a river of Genesis. However, Oferian Heritage Conservatory asserts that Gihon Spring of Israel should be considered part of the Gihon River of Genesis. Contemporary scholars fail to recognize that the spring is just a small fiber of the giant Gihon network. Gihon Spring of Israel is likened to a faucet inside the house, which is a small spring, but it is connected and is getting water from a gigantic water pipe outside the house that originated from a reservoir. How did we say that? First, Gihon Spring of Israel displays a siphoning or siphon activity and intermittent outflow, which means it is connected to a large subterranean network. It should be noticed that the Gihon Spring of Israel have the same gushing and spurting characteristic with those found in Ethiopia, Eritrea, Kenya, and other places in South Africa, which we have considered to be the land of Cush. Now, here are million-dollar questions. First question, is there a possible connection that links the Gihon Spring of Israel to the Gihon River of the land of Cush in Africa? Remember, they are hundreds and hundreds of miles away. Second question, if they are not connected with each other, does it mean there are 2 Gihon in the Bible? One a river and one a spring? And just recently, a new theory, another one in the bottom of the ocean? These questions posed the biggest challenge to the Oferian Heritage Conservatory, but we are very thankful because Prophet Ezekiel provided all the answers, which are also supported by modern geology. We will continue with the second segment of Gihon on our next video. If you think our topics are sensible and interesting, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share our videos.